Hey folks, this is Jin from RSMP Tabletop. With me today is Eric, also from RSMP. We're here to talk about Defenders. Yeah. So today it's going to be an incredible overview. They had 4 new characters that got released, 3 new tactics cards, and they have 2 leaderships they can play under. So yeah, there's a lot of meat and potatoes to dive into, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So and let's just get started, shall we?
Yeah, let's get started.
Let's talk about Daredevil's leadership. Allows you to re-roll 1 die per enemy character within 2 of the attacking character.
That's correct, yes.
Right. So if I am Daredevil over here on the board, and there are 3 opposing characters, I get one re-roll per character. So that would be 3 re-rolls in a single attack once per turn.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I do my baton attack against Baron Zemo here, I can reroll 3. I can, if I'm doing an area attack, I only get to reroll 3 on one of those attacks.
Right. Yep.
All right. So under Daredevil, Shang-Chi is really good, right? Because I feel like he's going to get into the mix. He's going to be surrounded by a lot of characters, and he has the displacement and movement abilities to sort of get into the right positioning he needs to be within too.
Right, and you can see your initial die roll before you decide if you want to take advantage of Daredevil's leadership, right?
Nice.
Which is always great. Shang-Chi, his main attacks are going to be range 2, and because of that, he's going to innately be within range to benefit from at least 1 reroll, assuming you're attacking at least 1 character. I have a feeling, though, that you probably have no problem just charging him into a bunch of characters clustered together, if that were the setup that they has.
Yeah, he kind of fits right into the Daredevil game plan, right?
Yeah.
He even has a place on his healthy side.
Yes.
Where he could, if that charge is just not there, maybe you charge, you attack someone, then you place, and you get right into position.
Yep.
Or you start with the place,
Absolutely, yeah. So I think at least for one of his attacks, he definitely gets the benefit from this. He'll do his builder, and that stagger trigger, like you're looking for these specific facings for.
Right.
The reroll help you get to those triggers hopefully pretty consistently. What else can I say? It's great.
It's just good.
It's good when you're a range 2 puncher. Daredevil makes you punch better.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And he brings a mystic attack to the affiliation too, which can be quite useful, right? A lot of the Marvel Knights, I think it's called.
Yeah,
right?
The Marvel Knights leadership. Yeah.
A lot of the Marvel Knights are physical bruisers. So to have a mystic option there adds just one more option for you on the field. I think you're going to bring him regardless. Like if you're running Daredevil, you're probably going to bring Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I think Shang-Chi, the more games we've gotten with this character, he's proven himself to be invaluable, just the solid workhorse model. He gets to move around the board, as long as the objectives aren't too far apart. As soon as he engages some enemies, he gets to move them around, builds power, and becomes just a general nuisance that they just sort of have to deal with.
Yeah.
Daredevil definitely fits in that slot well. And I think to a degree, Doctor Strange's leadership also does that as well.
Right.
Just to review, it's probably been a while since you've seen Doctor Strange on the table, but just to remind everybody, his leadership is that when you make an attack, before you roll your dice, I believe you get to declare a attack type that you want. So for 1 power, you choose your attack type. So you can change a physical attack, let's say, into an energy or a mystic attack. And if that attack happens to do damage, then they also get inflicted with the hex condition.
Yeah, and that is a brutal condition, right?
Yes. So the great thing about Marvel is that you have an exploding dice mechanic. So every time you roll a critical in that initial die roll, you get to add more dice in the pool, right? Which is very exciting. But hex is the one thing that sort of stops that, right? So you don't get to add more dice in the dice. Well, you still count your crits for successes, but you won't be able to add extra dice. And so the math becomes very streamlined as far as hey, if I start with 5 dice, I know I'm only going to have 5 dice for this attack. If I'm rolling 3 defense dice, I'm only going to have 3 defense dice for this roll.
Yeah. So how good is Shang-Chi under Strange?
It's funny because his builder already allows you to go between 2 different attack types. So it's actually kind of a little less relevant here. I will say though, because he starts off with a 6 die attack though, getting that hex on people is probably way more consistent than a lot of other characters in Defenders, which typically start off with more like 5-die attacks unless you're like Hulk or something.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to have much power problems, right? Once he gets going.
No. So that does give him the ability to get that coveted third attack type, right? Yeah. When you get the energy attack on him, like oh man, yeah, that builder as an energy attack can be absolutely brutal on some characters. Like I'm thinking about in Web Warriors, like all the Venoms, we have much lower like energy defense, right? So if you think that that's better than attacking the Mystic, that could be like an option. M'Baku, we were just talking about previously. That guy only has 2 energy defense.
Yeah.
Red Skull, if you attack Red Skull 2, typically gets the buff. One of his leaderships to like 5 dice, but one's going to be at a very vulnerable 2.
Right.
So it's either going to be energy or mystic. So, like having Strange give Shang-Chi the ability to turn that into an energy, for instance, like becomes like, woof, very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, so definitely, I would say he's definitely going to be under Daredevil, and he is even good under Strange.
Yes.
But there are a little bit more corner cases to that.
Yeah. I think if you're a fan of either leaderships, Shang-Chi should be able to fit in like just fine.
Perfect.
Like either one.
Very cool. Should we move on to Silver Sable now?
Yeah, so Silver Sable is interesting because we have a character that attacks from range 5, which is hard to take advantage of the Daredevil leadership. So unfortunately, it'll be rare cases where you actually take advantage of the leadership for Silver Sable.
Right.
But what she does bring is the ability to boost up other characters' dice, right? So if you give Daredevil the ability to make his builder from 5 die to a 6 die builder using pay up, so that attack becomes much scarier, and then he still gets his innate rerolls as well from his leadership, right? And then during clapback turns, because you get this, the leadership it should be noted for Daredevil is that it's once per turn. So this includes enemy turns. So if you have a way to attack a character outside of your normal activation, you still benefit from the rerolls. So Daredevil himself gets the ability to move towards you and then hit you. So Silver Sable could also boost up that attack as well. That's cool. So you're going to get a consistent 6-die attacks, assuming Daredevil has the power to sort of pay for it and sort of like get that. And that'll help her power generation as well, because then you can do Shot Caller. Daredevil himself does not have a lot of action compression. He has to move around the board fairly honestly.
Yep.
So if he needs to move somewhere, he has to take a move action for the most part. This gives you the ability to at least reposition him short and give him a power. And that may be the difference between like getting on a point and also having your counterattack at the ready, even if they do no damage. Because his counterattack, he doesn't actually need to take any damage to do. They just need to attack him.
Right. And I was even thinking like with her shot, I forgot the name of the trigger, but she can pull people in if she gets a crit. I think it's a crit and a wild,
yes.
right?
Yep.
She can pull. So that, you could set up a turn where you pull an enemy into a Daredevil's range or into the range 2 bubble that you want with the leadership.
Yeah, and during the process too, you also will give them the root condition, because the root condition happens on one of those triggers. I would believe it's the crit.
It's the crit. Yep.
Yeah. So if you pull in like a Bill or a Juggernaut, anyone that has that pay to reduce damage, if you're attacking them at 2 power, like that becomes like very interesting for you, because now Daredevil can punch them, and it's a lot harder for them to defend against like those damages coming through. So yeah, I know people are initially low on the Silver Sable in Defenders, but I think you have to think about holistically like the other characters that get the benefit from that. So if Shang-Chi is starting with a 7-die builder, that feels pretty cool. And then with rerolls, like that's going to be very consistent for damage. Yeah,
she's a support piece, and I think under Strange, she's also really interesting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because with her, which with her boom headshot ability, right? She's more likely to deal damage, which means you're more likely to apply hex, and you get to choose the type of attack type, right? So her attacks are all physical.
Yes.
So having the option to attack the weakest defense, I think is going to mean that you're dealing more damage consistently, and it's just going to be better for her.
Yeah, I mean, range 5 attackers are very rare in this game. So whenever you can leverage that double tap or single tap from distance, and usually when you attack someone range 5, most of the time there's very few ways to reprisal against that attack. So yeah, giving that weaker defense and a hex can. So if you can attack that put some Root, Hex, and a push
Yeah.
towards you, like they're in a rough spot. Like
That's like crippling a model.
yeah, that can cripple some models like tremendously. So yeah, like I said, it's up to your personal comfort with using Strange. I know it's a little on the riskier side because you don't get the Hex unless you do the damage. But on a range 5 attacker though, like you'll have more opportunities to take shots at people, I think. So that's to be considered, I want to say.
Yeah, and she does have some power generation issues, like she only has gainers. But from playing her quite a bit, I'm actually finding her to have a lot of power because I'm finding that I'm consistently boosting my dice with my models near her. You know, maybe not turn 1, but turn 2, turn 3, you're going to have models with the extra 2 power. And they would gladly pay 2 power for one extra die.
Yeah, and it's a return on investment, right? Because she's getting the power, and then they also are getting a die which potentially generates them power anyway from if they're doing a builder, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I'd say Silver Sable is a solid addition. And don't sleep on Shot Caller. I've had so many games that can rearrange the entire board. Your allies can all be out of place, but suddenly everything's in place. They got the power they need to do stuff. You know, I think she's becoming more and more valuable member of the team as the more I play her.
Yeah, I would have to wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Namor.
Namor, yeah. Okay. So what would you like to start with Namor?
Why don't you talk about Namor in? Let's start with Daredevil. We've been doing Daredevil first.
Yeah. No surprise. Range 2 attacker Namor, both his builder and his spender, immediately synergizes well with the leadership from Daredevil. He also is bringing his own charismatic leader reroll as well.
Right.
So that is 2 sorts of rerolls that you can get. So that's going to make him very consistent as far as attack type goes. Yep. And also, you know, the aura around him also benefits his friends as well. So definitely it's a very brawly configuration you can definitely get going with Marvel Knight's leadership under Daredevil. Because, you know, you can have Daredevil in the mix. You can put Namor. He can Imperious Rex.
Yeah.
Right in there,
right.
You know, and then when Daredevil goes, like he's got rerolls from his leadership and also from Namor's charismatic leader. So I think it's also slam dunk, and we always gushed about like how much utility, right? He's got, like, you know, even just on his own.
Right, and so he just fits right into Daredevil.
Yeah.
How about Under Strange?
Under Strange. So the nice thing about Strange is that he definitely has the power, right, to pay for the Hex. Or the potential Hex,
Potential Hex, yeah.
Yeah, so, and again, like, typically, you know, you look at Namor's attack suite, and it's like, oh, well, it's all physical, so if you have, like, you know, someone that has, like, Spire Senses that have good rerolls, and it's like, well, now give me the option to change that into a Mystic attack, you know, can really change the game there, right?
Yeah. You're more likely to deal the damage to get the stagger with the Imperious Rex.
Yes, and he's got the innate reroll by himself, so, like, I think he does get the 1 damage through more often than not. And that'll let you be able to apply the Hex condition, I want to say. So yeah, very excited. You know,
he's good in both.
It's good in both. Good in both.
Yeah, no surprise there.
No, absolutely not.
All right, and then lastly, let's talk about. Well, then we'll talk about the tactics cards, but let's talk about Chosen of Bast, Black Panther.
Chosen of Bast. Okay, so this marks our I think our 3rd known Mystic attacker now in Defenders, right? So you got Scarlet Witch, you got Shang-Chi, and now you got Chosen of Bast. So multiple points levels, you can now have more flexibility, you know, to bring in a Mystic attacker, you know, get an affiliation, which is nice.
And I think in the Daredevil leadership, you're probably not going to take Scarlet Witch. You will definitely be taking Shang-Chi, right?
Yeah.
So you've got Shang-Chi and you've got Black Panther. I know, because I've been doing some reading online, that players have been very successful with Black Panther on maps like Deadly Meteors, which are pay-to-flips that are very close up, right?
Yeah.
And so I think under Daredevil on Meteors, with Black Panther in the mix, where he's a pay-to-flip specialist, I think he can flip. He might be able to flip all 3. He can definitely flip 2 in his turn.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, he can move, and then pounce and do all 3. But you know, if he has all the power.
But give him that flexibility, right? Yeah. He's got a pounce. He's got 2 movement actions. So, you know, there could be a turn where his job, you know, being flush with power after being dazed is just to flip a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine, you know?
Yep.
And he'll be pretty consistent about it.
Yep. Under Strange, you know, he already has one of the best damage types, Mystic. Yeah. So I don't know how useful it is. But, you know, Energy is also a great damage type, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, Black Panther does have some power issues, right?
Yeah.
And so he might have some trouble. He's probably not going to use the leadership as often there, but the Hex feels more lore appropriate. I don't know why.
It does, yeah. Because we definitely feel like we were talking about this, like this Black Panther feels the most occult, like adjacent.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
one,
yeah.
He's the one that's going to be fighting like vampires and werewolves. I feel
Right.
out of anything else here.
So he's got to be hexing people, left and right.
Yeah. I think it's a thematic win, like under that leadership, but I feel like he doesn't need it quite as much. Or mostly, I feel like he's going to have a hard time using it just again due to power issues. He wants every power that they can get. So it'll be interesting to see if people can set him up correctly.
Yeah.
So
under Daredevil, it helps him, right? Like he's a lot better under Daredevil because he's more consistent in damage. He's probably going to get more power.
Yeah, and you also want to be able to hit that finisher, right? Like on the spender. Yeah.
Oh, right. That's a good point too.
Yeah.
It helps you get your trigger.
Yeah.
So definitely under Daredevil, maybe under Strange.
Yeah, I would say I lean better under Daredevil, but not bad under Strange, I would say, but definitely better. I mean, Strange always does give the ability to increase attack defense dice and do some healing as well. So maybe with Black Panther not being able to be rerolled against when you're attacking him, giving him some more defense dice, maybe it sticks him around the board way longer than normally he would, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So something to consider, because Strange is also like a defensive piece as well, on top of having some interesting utility offense.
That's true. Right. He does, and he likes being more like more of a control piece rather than a full attrition piece like a Daredevil.
Yeah, no, Daredevil I always feel like is all gas.
All gas.
All gas.
No brakes.
No brakes. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So should we talk about some of the cards?
Yeah. So what do we start with? Do you want to start with Street Smarts?
Let's start with Street Smarts.
Yeah.
So Street Smarts, I just love this card because it's like, I love that they're bringing Daredevil into the forefront here of MCP. And I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent before I talk about the card, but Daredevil's had like a interesting history in MCP. And he got revitalized in a character update, which gave him a whole leadership. So he had no leadership before, now he's got leadership. And I feel like this is MCP and, the parent company respecting Daredevil for the badass that he is. So Street Smarts here, you see Misty Knight in the background. It's a reactive card that's attached to the Defenders. During the power phase, any number of allied Defenders characters can spend 1 power each to play this card. This round, while a character that played this card is holding or contesting an objective token, that means like extracts, right? Or civilians, if they would be pushed, advanced, or thrown, they can instead just suffer 1 damage and they're not pushed, advanced, or thrown.
Yo, okay, that's pretty good.
That's a really good competitive card, I feel, right?
Yeah, so you have to be willing to soak the damage on this, but that could be the difference of you claiming an objective or not, right?
Right.
So obviously the most immediate thing is like you think of secures, right? You have to stand around them. You can think, and in terms of pay to flips, it makes their test harder if they don't get displaced.
Yeah.
So what's also interesting too is sometimes you just want to stay in place. You could just be next to an extract token that you haven't picked up yet.
Yeah.
And because you're just within 1, you still count as contesting it, even though it's not getting you any points. And that'll let you take advantage of this and be able to like trade the power or trade the damage, I would say, to not be moved. So yeah, it's good. It makes them very sticky, right? So the theme of Marvel Knights is that these are very sticky characters, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we put them into place. It's like, you try to move, no, you move.
Right. You move, right? Like the Shang-Chi thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, they're already great brawlers, but this definitely lets them be just like secure. I don't want to say gods, but they are much better at secures because you won't get thrown out of a secure. Right?
Yeah.
That's typically when you're going to be pushed or thrown or advanced. And then, it's just a great card. I can see that this is definitely better under Daredevil than it is Strange, though, right?
I would say so, yes. But it's not like Strange can't actually take advantage of this card. Because as you're taking the damage, at least Strange can heal back some of the health.
Yeah.
So, you can keep a character around like that isn't being displaced, like around a bit longer,
Yeah, and I was just thinking about power economy, right? Like, I think under Strange's, because I have a buddy who played a ton of Strange, and under Strange, like your models are using all the excess power that you have usually,
Right, yeah.
right, to fuel the leadership. So your models typically won't have, like they'll have that one during the power phase, but
Yeah.
you might want that one power to activate a superpower, right?
Right, and you need maybe you need to keep it with like a brace for impact or something like
Right,
online
exactly.
so you don't get like hosed by terrain, right? But I mean, it is played during the power phase, which is great. Like I love the timing of this. Is like you can decide immediately in the power phase, like, all right, I'm gonna look at the board. Is this a place where like I need to make sure no one gets gonna get moved this round?
Right. So this is definitely like a late turn 3, turn 4
Yeah.
tactics card.
Yeah, because sometimes Street Smarts are just gonna win you the game because you can't be moved off the secures, right?
Wow. Yeah. All right. So great card.
Great card, yeah, and it really like you said dials in the theme more, at least under the Daredevil leadership of Marvel Knights.
Yep.
Gives them identity, which is a thing that they've been looking for so long.
And they found it.
They found at least
And
one.
they do it very well.
They do, yeah, and at least one interpretation. I'm excited to see if there's other things that they do down the road, but at least for this iteration, I love what they're going with. Shall we talk about Cover Me?
Sure.
So Cover Me is a Defenders reactive card. So during the power phase, an allied Defenders character can spend 4 power to play this card. All right, so this round, after an attack targeting this character is resolved, another allied character may make an attack targeting the attacking enemy character. So this is pretty incredible as far as like, because you're already like Magical Christmas Landing, like,
Right.
So the art itself has Hulk.
Yep.
Like
Who
in
is
there.
a defender?
Who is a defender? Yeah. So he can certainly have the power to pay 4 for this. So either him or Immortal Hulk. You know, these are high hit point models. If you get like a bunch of extra active leaders, let's say cubes or hammers, where you can stack multiple, they become like a very interesting target to try to like go after. Right?
Yeah, they require a lot of attacks to take down.
Right. So at that point, you can have people like Hawkeye. You can have like Silver Sable. Or even out of affiliation, because this is not specified. Defenders only are the ones that can do the attacks.
That's a good point.
You know, you can have like, you know, Winter Soldier, you know, you can have, you know, Red Skull, you know, whoever, you know, and it doesn't even have to be a basic attack, like either a 0 cost attack. It says any attack. So you can use spenders on this, true, yeah. So there's a tremendous amount of clapback that you can get, right, against models if you set this up correctly. I think the issue with this card has been like you have to make sure you're taking the right team for it, right?
Yes.
So if you are playing, you know, Marvel Knights, a lot of times your characters are going to be like, you know, range 2 like attackers for a decent amount of them, and maybe some more, but you know, a lot of them lean into that piece. But sometimes like you may not have the range to really take advantage of the free attacks, right?
Because you always have to draw the range from the attacking model to the other attacking model in this circumstance.
Right. So it's I think this card's interesting because it's very easy to see like the super ideal situation like where everything like is going to line up correctly, but you have to line up correctly in real practice. Like, and I think this is actually a interesting skill expression of like if you can position your guys correctly for it, or just good team composition to make sure you have a bunch of long range attackers.
Yep.
So that if someone were to pick up a bunch of extracts, you know, they're coming at you. It's like, great, you know, I'm going to get like a bunch of range 4, range 5 attacks into you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, so seeing this in play, you know, it makes certain attacks more attractive than others, right? So like I've seen this card played on a Hulk, right? Where they were also running a Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Now, they were out of 2 of Shang-Chi's builder.
Oh.
But they weren't out of 3 for his place attack.
Yes.
So, you know, Shang-Chi's like, I believe it's an energy attack, right? The
It's
Rising Phoenix kick.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you're typically not going to see use of it, but that's a good use of it. You basically can move out of your activation and you're setting up your next turn, right?
Yeah. Or if they attack the same character again, well, now you're
Well, now you can go right. You can use the same character again and attack, right?
Yeah.
So it's good. Silver Sable is great with this card.
Yeah.
Because she's always going to be in range 5 usually.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like as these characters are taking advantage of the free attack, you know, she still gets that once per turn pay up, right?
Right.
Yeah. So on her front side, she can help people get more dice, get her power. Or if your character was holding an extract token to begin with, she's got a protect the asset rule, right? So she could, you know, you can get a character that counterattacks from here, and she can still get a counterattack from protect the asset.
But you have to be careful who you play this card on too, right?
Yes. So most characters have a very finite amount of health, which is why we talked about Hulks first, right? Because like, generally they'll take several attacks before they go down. Some people are, it's like, well, you can put on Daredevil, and whatnot, but that is a much more limited amount of health pool.
Yeah.
Then sometimes you get spiked, right? And
That's
unfortunately, as soon as that character gets dazed or KO'd, you won't be able to benefit from this particular card anymore, right?
So this card is probably best on Hulk, but it's also good on Daredevil,
Yeah.
Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Just not as relevant.
Yeah, I do really like this under Luke Cage though, right? Because you imagine there's like heroes for hire, right? You can make them attack you, and then you can then proc a free attack, right, from somebody.
Yeah.
Luke Cage probably taking some damage, so he still has power to taunt as well, further attacks.
All right, so that's another great character to place this on.
Yeah, no, there's a few targets that you could have, but definitely you want it on someone that's fairly resilient. I would say to get the most attacks out of it. Otherwise, though, you could just use it just to say like, it's like, hey, this is a, I want to say like just a Sophie's Choice kind of moment where like maybe there's only one character that can attack this particular character, but he's gonna play the power, and so that's like, hey, if you go after this character with your one character, that character might die.
Right.
That
I've been in those circumstances. They're tough to make a decision there. So definitely makes your 10. Does it make your 5?
I don't think it always makes the 5, but I think it's definitely in the 10.
Okay.
Yeah, especially like you can certainly build situations for it. Because there may be tight maps, especially if there's a tight map. I would say that this might be a pretty slam dunk card.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, like it. Definitely thumbs up for me. Again, getting the identity. Like they're definitely like the sticky punchback. Like different faction at this point.
It's very thematic. That all these Defender cards are so
yeah,
thematic.
they super lean into Daredevil's like style and the way he's like leading the troops, right?
Yep. All right. And so with that, let's talk about one of my favorite cards that came out.
Yeah.
Mystic Ward.
Oh man.
So it is an active tactics card. An allied Defender's character can spend 2 power. Choose an objective token within 3 of the characters that played this card, and then place a Mystic Ward on it. And you're gonna get a token that comes with the card too.
Yep.
The marked objective token cannot be interacted with, contested, or controlled this round.
Oh.
If a player is currently controlling the objective token, they are no longer controlling the token. Remove this token at the next power phase.
Oh, so in pragmatic sense, this would you say just turns off an objective?
It turns off an objective, and because it's the next power phase, it's also going to affect the scoring during cleanup.
Oh.
So this is a very good card. It works on pay to flips. It works on things like intrusions, where people are hoping to be teleporting left and right.
Oh, right.
And it's solid. I mean, it even works on, let's say, if there's somehow, because it's 2 power, you could feasibly play this in the first or second turn with some shenanigans.
Yeah.
More likely second round, but there might be a token that's out there still, an extract token that you don't want them to take.
I was thinking that researcher, right? Like, so that's a moving extract that's kind of treated like a pseudo secure, where you still have to have people contest it. You can't pick it up, but you have to just cluster around it and then win it.
Yep.
So for a turn, you can essentially turn it off, right? And then just no one gets it. I mean, Shang-Chi does that pretty easily, right?
Right.
Like, so as soon as they put one person on the researcher, you can just walk up, flying kick, because it's the middle of the board, and you can potentially just turn that off. I'm sure there's other ways too. Like Namor can just do this, right?
Yep.
I think he's probably the actual consistent one that you're going to be able to use this with.
Yeah, I think so. The 2 power. Yeah.
Yeah, just walk up, turn this off. It's like, yep, no one's getting the researcher this go
turn
around.
one,
Or no one's getting this Mayor Fisk.
Yeah.
Like 2-pointer like this turn.
And then he might even be able to walk onto a secure right after that.
Yeah.
Talking about Magical Christmas Land, right?
Yeah.
But this card is good. Like even this is like the new rating system. Like it definitely makes your 10.
I think it definitely makes the 10.
Does it make your 5?
I think this often makes the 5.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so versatile. That's the thing. Like I cannot get over I read it, I'm just like, it's like, okay, like okay, no one can score that thing that round. But I hadn't thought about, like you said, talking about intrusions where people rely on these teleporting circles to get to where they need to go, or there's certain like teams that bunker up, like we talked about.
Right.
You turn off that riot sparks point that everyone's trying to heal from and just cluster under. Yep. Suddenly they can't heal from that objective anymore, and they can't score it. So now it's like, well, do you move off? Like, do you just stay there? Like,
right. And what's interesting too is your character doesn't need to stay in that 3.
No,
right?
they can just drop the token and
They
leave,
can just
right?
drop the token and peace out.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a really versatile card. It obviously impacts points that are scored in the round, so I think that's automatically a contender for the top 5. But just the versatility of it is just so good.
Yeah, I love it. I think both leaders like this card. Like, you know, like
I think so.
Yeah, there's gonna be a point in the game where just like it's like I need to slow down some sort of effect or scoring, and like, you know, this will solve a lot of issues, I think.
Yeah.
No, I like it tremendously. Great flavor. You know, it's just a win card overall.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So with that covers all our tactics cards and all the characters in the Defender affiliation.
It does, yeah, man. What a wild like couple boxes, right? To just really inject like new life in this team. Like, you know, before they just had the pentagrams, which unfortunately, there's some people that had a lot of success with pentagrams, but certainly like it felt like a one-trick pony kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
So now, you know, as these characters have come out, like we've solidified that the Defenders, at least under Daredevil, is going to be a very brawly team. They're going to stick around quite a bit, you know, and they're going to make you fight tooth and nail for every points that you want, especially on the midline.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is that before this box came out, that Daredevil was already really strong, especially on like maps like Fisk, right, where they can bring Hulk and Wolverine.
Right.
But just with these cards, they're just going to be way better. And that's mostly under Daredevil. I think Strange also gets a huge buff too.
Yeah.
You know, all these cards are great for him as well, but they're less applicable than Daredevil because Daredevil likes to be, you know, in the brawl, in the fight.
I'm curious to see like if people start taking both Namor and Amazing Spider-Man because they're both Defenders. They're the only faction I think that has like those two coveted like you know, long mover, pick up a thing and then just walk away, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain. I think you're right. I think.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So yeah, they definitely feel like with the new tactical rotation, especially with Eyes on the Prize being rotated out, like that's okay. We got 2 guys in affiliation that can fix, you know, that problem, like, you know, just fine.
Yeah, so they're good at scenario. Definitely turn 1 plays. They can even if they lose priority, they can have Amazing Spider-Man on one side, Namor on the other, so they can make sure they can get one of those those tokens.
And you know, both of them benefit tremendously from the Daredevil rerolls to make sure that they're actually consistent. I would argue, like as a Web Warriors player, that ASM might actually be the best under Defenders.
Yeah.
You know, at least more consistent. Like he'll have a Nova turn like in Web Warriors, but I feel like turn to turn, like he's going to be cranking out consistent work like in Defenders.
That witty banner is going to be popping off every single time.
Right, yeah. And if you can't move him with street smarts, like he's going to witty banter like all day, like in that area, right?
That's a good point. All right, so great affiliation.
Great affiliation. I think Defenders players should be super excited for the new life that they have. It's going to be a great time. I'm interested to see like what shakeups these characters will bring to Defenders, but also all the affiliations that they're in. Also have splash pieces too. You know, it's nice to have, you know, a new objective piece in Black Panther. You know, general great utility in Namor, also reducing damage so that ignoring the reduction in damage. So the challenge characters like Thanos, who have been like very strong, right?
Right.
For a long time. I'm interested to see what interesting tricks people do with Silver Sable. You know, she seems it didn't seem particularly powerful at first, but I think the more people have got her on the board, myself included, I've really enjoyed like what she brings to the table. You know, and Shang-Chi, oh man, Shang-Chi, this guy's a rock star. Like,
this guy is a rock star.
Yeah.
We in our video we were high on him, and you know, playing him myself, I just couldn't believe the stuff that he was doing.
Yeah. So So it's been like a little bit of time. So we've actually gotten to be able to put him on the board, and yeah, he's met or exceeded our expectations as far as presence.
Exceeded in my case for sure. So these are 2 boxes that I would rush out and get at your friendly local gaming store.
Yeah.
I know I pre-ordered them, and they sold out at my store. So, you know, if you can find them at your store, order them. If you can't, order them on order. Right?
Yep.
They're great. I think they're so splashable that your other affiliations are going to really enjoy them too.
Yeah. What I know about them, just you know, osmosis-wise, I think they've done a great job interpreting their power, their powers, their vibes, you know, and like what they want to do gameplay-wise, like very well. AMG's done a very, very good job, I think. Sculpts are all incredible, I think.
Oh yeah, that too is just painting them as models are amazing.
Yeah, especially scenic bases on Namor and Joseph Bass.
Yeah.
Oh man, gorgeous models.
Yeah,
I cannot wait to see what people do with those.
I even like the little parts on Silver Sable. She comes with like these little like bullet ricochet things. I think those will be really cool to paint up.
Yeah. I'm curious to see like what painters do to make sure that like it looks like trajectories on there, dust clouds and whatnot, like all the stuff to really make it look like she's in the middle of an action sequence, right?
Yeah, I've seen suggestions of putting her on a pedestal and messing with like her base. So people love these models, and if you manage to get your hands on them, you'll be happy too.
Yeah, I think people will be very happy to put them on the table, the way they build, and yeah, just a pleasant experience all around. Yeah, highly would recommend them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Jin, for this was a super pleasurable experience for me.
Yeah.
This is a new series, so we are just trying this out, and we are trying to give you like an in-depth analysis of characters after they come out, right?
Yeah, at least I would want to wait until the affiliation link drops and their base sizes. That way you have a more holistic picture of like where they're going, right?
You're right.
I know. Yeah, no, I know that like people would like stuff as soon as they drop, but I think giving it a little time to marinate so that we can bring you like a nice, more well-rounded like overview of these characters is, I think, going to be valuable for your time. And we hope to continue more of these in the future, if possible.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have any suggestions, put them in the comment below of things you want to see, improvements. Maybe there was something we missed on one of the cards. Just write them in the comments. Someone will definitely respond to you.
Yeah, for sure. We're always monitoring the comments. So yeah, any suggestions you have, we would definitely take to heart in that case. Okay. But until next time.
Until next time.
We'll see you then. All right. Have a good night.
Bye now.